we were taught that qualifications were important, and we were taught that experience plays a massive role. But we weren't taught about the fact that the economy, the macroeconomic outlook of countries can vary as a consequence of governments or a variety of other things. Like right now, we're in the middle of a war. So, what are the things that you are doing in order to adapt yourself and make yourself capable to cope with what's going on at the present moment? Hello, everybody, and welcome to another session of Visualize with Vik. Thank you once again for joining and listening in, and let me get a little bit of your commentary about what I'm going to talk about today. So, just as a reminder, please subscribe. We really enjoy hearing from you and having you join us, and please press on the notification button so that you are reminded when we upload. So, what am I going to talk about today? Well, there's been a couple of things going through my mind. And they come from a little bit of some personal introspection with certain personal things that have been happening. And I want to talk about this construct of entitlement. And I'm going to bring my sort of 2 cents worth to this thing called entitlement. And I'm sure you've all heard the word used on a number of occasions. And there are 2 elements about entitlement that I want to talk about. The one construct is this element of entitlement itself, but the other thing is that I want to talk about is this thing called expectation. And what are the differences? And when I think about the 2 of them, they both hold good and bad, right? So you may believe that you are entitled to a great life. You may believe that you are entitled to all positive things. You may believe that you are entitled to a good future. And that level of entitlement is okay. It's good. It's good for you to have the gravitas and the confidence about yourself, saying that I am entitled to good things. I deserve them. It's something that I should have. And I'm entitled to a good life. You can also have heightened levels of expectation around the same things. I'm expectant of good things because I believe that I have earned them and I'm entitled to them. So these heightened levels of expectations are good as well. You can sense what you are expecting and believe that you deserve what you're expecting. But I think there's a separation in whether that context becomes good or whether that context becomes bad. And the separation for me is the how. How is it that you're going to apply, or how is it that you're going to endeavor to get these expectations that you're referring to? And your entitlement, how are you receiving it? How are you getting it? And I think it's an important point to introspect on, because I think it's that distinction that is going to be very close to you understanding yourself as a person in terms of the role that you're playing in this world of entitlement. Let's take jobs, right? We have a sense in an economic society as we are in to say that jobs should be expected, right? Economies should create jobs. And as a consequence of economies creating jobs, I have an entitlement if I qualify with a particular degree, or if I have a certain level of experience, or if the job has a certain requirement that I fit into, I have an expectation that I should get the job. And as a consequence of entitlement, the economy should be creating jobs for me. I want us to question that. I really want us to begin to diagnose that in the year 2022, if the old economic tendencies of the 60s and the 80s and maybe even the 70s still apply today. In an era where we have some of the greatest opportunities, I don't think that in historical terms, society and the world has created more opportunities than before. And yet, let's speak specifically to South Africa, we have the highest levels of unemployment. Why is that? Why is it that we are still having conversations around the expectation of government to create jobs? Why is it that we're still having the expectation of the kind of fiscal policies that should be put into place that entitle us to be able to get what it is that we want. The question I'm asking is, how are you getting what it is that you need or believe that you're entitled to, as opposed to what is it that you're doing in terms of waiting for that entitlement to land on your lap or that expectation to land on your lap? We're all expecting jobs. And how's it working out for you? So far, it is not coming. And I think the reason that it's not coming is because I think the whole system is not the same as it was before. And therefore, I am questioning your sense of expectation in the context of how are you reapplying your proposition of entitlement to fit the kind of current scenario that's available, which is that your qualifications are not a guarantee to a job. Your experience are not a guarantee to a job, right? What is going to be a guarantee to your ability to earn something is something that you do, as opposed to something that you expect. We were taught that qualifications were important, and we were taught that experience plays a massive role. But we weren't taught about the fact that the economy, the macroeconomic outlook of countries can vary as a consequence of governments or a variety of other things. Like right now, we're in the middle of a war. So what are the things that you are doing in order to adapt yourself and make yourself capable to cope with what's going on at the present moment? The level of entitlement that we have has subjected itself to even saying that anyone who's a foreigner has not the same levels of entitlement as we have and should not have the same levels of expectation as we have. Now, here's where the dynamics change slightly. If somebody who leaves Malawi, their home as an example, where they have grown up, because they're in a quest and in a search to improve themselves, they travel all the way from there to South Africa, whereby they manage to acquire a mechanism by which they are earning money. For me, the indictment isn't on them taking our jobs. The indictment is, for me, on you as to what were you doing when they were doing that. Because you see, the power of the how, the power of the action that is taken is more significant than the thought processes that you go through with entitlement when it comes to expectation of certain things. These people have left their land to go and look for better places in order to improve themselves, and have, in all intents and purposes, succeeded in doing that because of the reaction that we are having, the vermin reaction that we are having to their presence. And I question the level of our sense of the how are we going to get things done, because I don't question theirs. They have given up so much in order to be able to do what they're doing. I'm asking, how are you doing what it is that you're going to be doing? What have you given up? What are you sacrificing? What are you putting to the edge of so that you can fulfill these expectations that you have and the entitlements that you're supposed to have? Are you the person who just drops a CV on top of another CV and hopes and prays? I'll give you a little story. I walked into a shop recently and had a conversation with a young man who was a trainee. And I asked him the question, how long have you been working? And the reason why I asked him the question about how long he had been working in the store is because the moment I walked into the store and he started serving me, I had a problem already. The manner in which he moved, the manner in which he approached me, just spoke to somebody who just wasn't really interested in being there. So out of a general conversation, I just said to him, so tell me, what are your plans and intentions? How long have you been here? So he told me he had been there for a few months, not too long. And he told me his intentions were to go back and study. So my next question was, why do you need to go back to study? What is it that you study? He says, no, I need to go back and study graphic design. And the reason why I left studying in the first place was because I didn't have the financial backing to support me. So I said, okay, so tell me a little bit about what you want to study within the constructs of graphic design. So he gave them to me. And at the time when he was doing that, I had gone into YouTube and I had started, searching for the very things that he was looking for. So I said, in the meantime, how is it that you are going to ensure that this thing that you want to do, this expectation that you have, is going to be fulfilled, other than just sitting here and hoping that you can amass a bit of money so that it'll take you back to school? Because from where I could sit, what you're doing right now is going to take a considerable amount of time for you to get the kind of finances you need to get there. He agreed with me. But there was no answer to the other question about how is it that he's going to actually change the methodology that he's using in order to get there. And I showed him, I said, if you go into YouTube, there are thousands of little tutorials and little excerpts and examples and of graphic design. Is there an endeavor here for you to try and fulfill what you require through your effort in terms of you working towards the knowledge that you're looking for, as opposed to waiting for varsity to come and actually give it to you in terms of learning through an institute? I am not saying there's nothing wrong with learning through an institute. You're very welcome to do that. But under the current circumstances, what is it that you're doing in order to accelerate the process? And that's what I'm getting at. I'm getting at to the how of your movements in terms of changing the societal reflection of what it is that you want to have, vis-a-vis waiting for society to provide you what it is that you're looking for. And I think when entitlement becomes the waiting of provision, or even the waiting of expectation, as opposed to you putting in a bit of your backbone towards it, that's when I think it becomes challenged. And unfortunately, in our society right now, we have a lot of waiting. A lot of people hoping and praying and wishing, but ultimately that's just waiting. You're either waiting for the economy to change, or you're waiting for more jobs to be put in, or you've put your CV on top of another CV and you're waiting for that outcome. But I'm tasking you and challenging you to say, when you get up every day, the process in which you should be actually thinking about your entitlements and expectations should be embedded in what you're doing and how you're doing it. Well, I'm wishing you the best. And that's my view on this. I think we're on a difficult road, globally, economically, socially. And I think it's going to be important for you to start understanding that what you're building for tomorrow is so important in what you do today. Wishing you the best. Thank you for listening. We'll chat again soon.